Right, I'm delighted to be joined in the Downtown Den today by Chrissy Wadlow, who is Partnership Manager at Western Union, one of Downtown in Business's strategic partners, of course. And Chrissy, delighted to see you looking fit and healthy today.
Feeling it. Thanks, Frank. Yeah.
And we,
good to see you too.
Yeah, and you know, we've obviously had a couple of conversations with you guys at Western Union, yourself and Mark Williams, your man in the north, has had a chat with us as well. We've been talking thus far about really, you know, the impact that the lockdown and coronavirus has had on business. Inevitably, I suppose, winners and losers.
Definitely. It's interesting when we're talking to our daily huddles. So as a business, we get together every morning and we always have a voice of a customer conversation. So what are our customers actually saying? And there are definitely winners and losers in this. It's clear that at the end of every business who is struggling are people. So there are really difficult decisions being made, and that's hard to hear. And it's important to support these businesses when they're having to make tough decisions. However, there are also some businesses who are doing really well at the moment. You know, customers who are dollar sellers are doing particularly well. And we do deal a lot with customers who are importing goods. So if you're involved in particularly the medical supply sales chain at the moment, then you're probably doing quite well.
Mm. And I know that an awful lot of businesses at this moment in time are taking the opportunity of a bit of a time out to review the supply chains, review the people that they operate with. We obviously have introduced you guys into a number of businesses over the past 12 months who are delighted with the service you offer. This isn't a plug-in Western Union advert of any sort, but nonetheless, you know, you have got a bit of breathing space at the moment. So Western Union, tell us a little bit about what specialisms that you guys have that can help and support businesses going forward.
Sure. So Western Union Business Solutions specialise in supporting businesses who are trading internationally. So it's cross-border payments. So whether that's one-off payments for somebody who is importing something and has to pay a supplier, or perhaps they have payroll services or multiple payments that they're making on a regular basis. The focus of the business is to help companies to manage foreign exchange volatility and ideally mitigate risk to their business, particularly their budgeted levels, and ultimately to save time and money. At a time of reflection like now, we have to be a little bit careful as to how we're speaking to customers, mindful of the fact that some of them are making difficult decisions. But actually, it is a great time to stop, review, think about your business contingency planning. Some of the hot topics that we're focusing on at the moment include fraud. So, you know, where there is crisis, there is an uplift of fraud. So what are businesses doing, not just now, but always, to protect their processes from fraudulent activity? And likewise, from contract negotiation point of view, you know, we're dealing a lot with customers who import from China. So yes, they may be having supply chain difficulties at the moment, but that's highly likely to reverse and pick up again. Are our customers just paying their Chinese suppliers in US dollars, or are they aware that if they pay them in their local currency, they're probably going to get better value for money for the goods that they're importing? So it's having a conversation with customers to sort of just double check, not just about making sure they're getting the best value for their foreign exchange, but also other aspects of their process. Are they secure and robust?
Good advice, Chrissy. And you know, you are an international business, so we're very focused, of course, on what's happening here in the UK. But globally, you know, the economy is going through a tough and challenging time. Are there any countries that you would pick out as having a particularly difficult situation at the moment, or is it we're all in the same boat?
I think we're all in the same boat. I mean, there's quite a layered question. If you look at it from a sociological point of view, you know, I feel like we're quite lucky, well, not even quite lucky, I feel we're massively lucky in the UK to have the support systems, you know, plug for the NHS, but it's at times like this that you realise how lucky we are. There are some are even highly developed countries. Some of our closest cousins in the world are facing different challenges because they don't have the same structures that we do. It's going to be an interesting time coming off the back of this, because if you think about the poorer nations, which is actually where we import lots of our goods from, if you look at, you know, coffees and teas and spices, they're coming from some of the poorest people in the world. When you find a crisis like this, one of the first things that people potentially struggle to keep going is charity. So, you know, what are we doing to support overseas nations, you know, in third world countries? So it's going to be an interesting time coming out of this in the next 3, 6, 12 months, just to see what happens.
Undoubtedly, I think the you know, the World Trade Organization, others are saying that we need to review those debts, don't we, and see how we can support those poorer nations moving forward. So out of all crises, we said earlier, there's winners and losers, and there's good things that can potentially come out of what we're going through at the moment. And of course, as a business community, what we're looking for is potential opportunities. And I know, Chrissy, that you're working with your customer base, your partners, very closely to see what post-crisis might look like and what opportunities and potential there is for growth, because inevitably, when you have a downturn, there will be a spike at some point, and we've got to be ready to take advantage of that spike.
Definitely. I mean, I think it's a very delicate conversation to have, particularly when you're in the peak of a pandemic, as we are at the moment. You know, the country and the world is in crisis right now. If you can look past that and try and have some optimism over the fact that in, you know, 3 months' time, we're hoping that the restrictions are going to be lifted and we're going to be looking to get back to some normality with regards to trade. But when is it appropriate to start marketing to people? When is it appropriate to start having business conversations with people? Being sensitive to the fact that, yes, there's a business conversation, but actually people's family and friends might genuinely be suffering. So they're probably not in the mood for a new business conversation right now. So one of the things that Western Union as a business are doing is trying to support companies right now with the here and now. I've mentioned about content that we're supplying to businesses, not just focused on foreign exchange, but of course we have macroeconomic foreign exchange forecasts that, you know, are available to everybody. So if people want a market update, they want to know where the experts think the markets are going to be in 3, 6, 12 months time, yes, we can supply that. But it's also supporting our partners in the other way around as well. So we have an amazing customer base. And they have some of our partners have brilliant products and services that they're trying to market to people like our customers. So for the first time, we're actually opening our doors a little bit and hoping to share some of our customers or our partners' appropriate messages with our customer base, just so that at the end of this, people can say, what have you done to help your partners? Or we can say, we're not just helping a business with foreign exchange, but we're actually looking at the business partners that we're working with from a wider perspective and seeing if we can share each other's messaging.
And I suppose another thing that will come out of this inevitably, because there's been so much community spirit and coming together, will be a greater emphasis on collaboration. And, you know, as we know from working with you guys closely over the last 12 months, that's something that Western Union are in a good position to take advantage of, because you're very used to collaborating.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's going to have to be the way going forward. You know, I think, apologies if I'm repeating myself, but it's difficult to pick up the phone and have a cold call conversation. But if you're working with people, working within networks that are appropriate for you, it's a much more natural and useful conversation to have, rather than a hard sales message. And that goes from every direction.
Yeah. And just on a personal perspective, Chrissy, how are you finding working from home?
Well, I am fortunate in that I have been working from home on and off for the last few years, so it's not too bad. The only slight distraction is the dog. And the other half, but he's in the office in the other room, so no, it's fine. It's not too bad. I think we've adapted particularly well. You know, I feel lucky that I've had the systems and the support, so it's been quite an easy transition for me, really. I do miss having cups of tea with people, though.
Yeah. Well, you're a social butterfly, aren't you? So although people can say, well, I'm used to working from home, you know, I think that people like you and I, because I find myself in the same boat, I sort of usually take up at least a day a week where I'll work from home, because I find that I can do a lot more in terms of admin if I'm not distracted. Nonetheless, that inability to be able to go out and meet people face to face and just get in the mix of things, I can imagine you'd be quite frustrated by that, actually.
Oh, massively. And
right, you froze for a couple of seconds there, Chrissy. So, but I think we got the gist of your answer. Final point then, in terms of sticking with the home working situation. As you say, you guys well settled for this, used to working from home, systems in place to do so. Now, of course, all businesses across the country have taken that challenge up, and vast majority of them are doing Skype calls, they're doing Zoom calls, they're making appointments to have conversations with people all over the world. This is going to change the way we operate in the future, isn't it?
Definitely. Not necessarily. I think there's some really positive things that are going to come out of the back of this. But if you look at the impact on this, it hits right from the bottom level of how people are designing houses, because I would no longer want to buy a city flat with no office space. You know, the impact is significant. You know, having a balcony, having a garden. I'm lucky enough to have a garden. Yeah. If this happens again, I think there are people that are going to change the way that they live. That's on a personal level. And from a business perspective, you know, how many more conversations can you have? Like, I don't think we would have ever Zoom called with the camera on before, because it's all a bit cringy. Yeah. Whereas now it's natural and it's the thing to do. You know, it's a bit rude almost if you don't have the camera on, because it's like, what are you doing? So yeah, I think there's some positive outputs from this.
Yeah. Well, as always, Chrissy, it's been great to speak to you. No doubt we'll have you involved in other webinars that we're doing going forward over the next 2 or 3 months, hopefully 2 months. And I'll see you again very soon.